Alright guys, it's all about vanilla today. It's a top 20 vanilla fragrances for men list, and we're talking about vanilla fragrances that are specifically targeted to men. If you're curious to discover these vanilla fragrances, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Sebastian, talking to you about vanilla fragrances for men. All of the vanilla fragrances here are targeted to men. So if you're a guy that wants to stick to the designers or mass market releases that are specifically fragrances made for the guys, then these are the fragrances you're going to want to check out. And you have a challenging time with vanilla, I think these are the ones you should start out with for sure. As I said, this is a ranked list. There's a few technicalities here. The majority of these fragrances are from designer houses. Let's go ahead and get started. At number 20, we're going to the house of Armani. It's Stronger With You Intensely. So I've ranked this way at the bottom. I'm still trying to get wrap my head around this fragrance. There's a bit of a DNA under here that's not my favorite, but I think I'm slowly warming up to this, especially since I really like the leather version, and now I want to try the sandalwood version that's coming out or soon to come out. But this is kind of vanillic with toffee and amber. There's cinnamon and tonka. In the end, it dries down to a bit of a suede note. Along the way, you also have some aromatics. But it's fairly smooth. It's vanillic for sure. It's a bit gourmandesque. And of course, ambery when it's drying down. There's a bit of a holiday spice vibe here as well. So we're talking about vanilla. It's not necessarily just vanilla. It's vanilla focused fragrances. And you've got a lot of vanilla in these fragrances with additional notes. This one does go gourmand, but definitely made for a man. This is Stronger With You Intensely. Let me know if you're familiar with that. This is an older fragrance here, going to the house of Chanel. This is Allure Homme Edition Blanche. So this is kind of sort of like a lemon chiffon cake idea, because there's a lot of lemons here with vanilla, there's tonka, spices, and citruses. So you've got a bit of a citrusy edge and also a slightly vanillic gourmand edge happening and combining together. It used to be my favorite Allure series fragrance, then I discovered the sport fragrances and things like that. But I think I come back to this, and you've got this kind of a lemon chiffon cake idea here with the Allure Homme DNA. So that's from Chanel, Allure Homme Edition Blanche. Next, going to the house of Jean Paul Gaultier, it's Scandal pour Homme le Parfum. So even though they don't mention actually having vanilla in the notes, there's definitely a vanilla quality here. There's loads of tonka, but I feel like they do feature vanilla in this fragrance, even though they don't mention it, because they're highlighting only 3 notes here. You've got sandalwood, tonka beans, and geranium. Sure, it's a bit aromatic when it starts off, but it does get warm and vanillic and cozy and ambery when it's drying down. So it's not my most favorite fragrance. I actually prefer another Jean Paul Gaultier fragrance. I wanted to feature it here and recommend it as a pretty solid vanilla fragrance for the guys. Let me know if you're a fan of Scandal pour Homme le Parfum. Add a comment below. Then going to the house of ROCHAS. This is ROCHAS Man Intense. Says it right here. This is the Intense version, which came out many years after the original came out, like in the late 90s. And the Intense is actually taken the original into a more intense version, but I wouldn't call this a super intense fragrance. But what I like about this is the combination of aromatic notes like lavender with vanilla and cappuccino. There's cedar, there's citruses, and of course warm and spicy, gooey, and aromatic. Kind of in the ballpark of Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male, I would say, because it's vanillic notes with lavender. It doesn't smell alike because it has that cappuccino note, giving you a bit of a coffee vibe. That's ROCHAS Man Intense at number 17. Let me know if you're familiar with it. So you'll notice that I have featured some of the brands a couple of times because they have other fragrances that are vanillic. But moving on to number 16, going to the house of GUERLAIN, it's L'Homme Idéal Eau de Parfum. I've got the very classic bottle. I believe this bottle doesn't look like this anymore, or this fragrance. But in the end, this is the Eau de Parfum take on the original L'Homme Idéal. It's vanillic. It's also almondy and nutty. And of course, it's got sandalwood, leather, rose, and spices. It's not my all-time favorite in the collection, but it's a solid fragrance. There's a bit of a cherried vibe in this as well, and I think I'm getting that from the rose that's in here mixed in with the Tonka kind of a thing. It's pretty solid, but I prefer the Extreme or even now the Parfum edition. And the Parfum edition I'm warming up to. It didn't have vanilla. This is more vanillic here, so I'm featuring it. But you might like this more. Let me know your thoughts on that. That's L'Homme Ideal Eau de Parfum from the house of Guerlain. This next one is from the house of PACO Rabanne. It's 1 Million Elixir. 1 Million Elixir is a fruity take on vanilla, so it's got this freshness and juiciness with the apple note, but lots of vanilla absolute here with Tonka. There's also Davana, rose, osmanthus, cedarwood, and patchouli. So not only do you have floral notes here, you've got osmanthus here as well, giving you a stone fruit effect with a little bit of leather. So there's a lot going on here, but for me it comes off very fresh for a vanilla fragrance, not so intense for an elixir, so it's a bit ranked lower than normal, because I usually rank the elixirs or parfums higher up to the top. But this one's pretty solid. I think if you like something fruity against vanilla, 1 Million Elixir should satisfy. But this next one's from the house of ZADIG and Voltaire. This is him, this one right here. I haven't spoken too much about this one. I wish they were launching elixirs and parfums, because this particular version of ZADIG and Voltaire's This Is Him is the best, I think, from the whole collection. They've got so many flankers, but it doesn't have the performance I want. But as a smell, I absolutely love it. It's lots of vanilla with sandalwood. There's incense here. There's a pink pepper or black pepper. There's also some citruses, but a really great combo. This kind of a dry take on vanilla with the smoothness of the sandalwood plus spiciness of the not only the black pepper but also incense. So that's ZADIG and Voltaire's This Is Him. I wish they come out with an elixir or a parfum for that fragrance to make it more intense. But moving on to the house of LALIQUE, this is white in black. Sure, you're going to get reminded of Leighton from the house of Parfums de Marly, but different take on that. It's a more designer take on it. It's vanillic. It's with cardamom here, lots of it. There's lavender as well. There's pink pepper, patchouli. There's spices and resins and ambroxan and things like that. And of course it gets ambery and to dry down. But definitely more of a masculine take on a vanilla fragrance. You've got lots of woods with aromatics. So it's spicy and it's herbal, plus that gooey vanilla that we are speaking about here, because this is a vanilla list after all, and specifically focusing on the designers and fragrances targeted to men. So this is LALIQUE's White and Black. Let me know if you're familiar with that one. Do you get the reminder of Parfums de Marly's Leighton? Add a comment below. And then going to the house of MAUBOUSSIN, this is Star for Men, and you're thinking, why back to back these? These two do remind me of one another. They're also created by the same person. They also do remind me of Leighton, but I actually prefer Star for Men a bit more. It's got a lot more amber vanillic touches, and that's what I like about it. It doesn't have the aromatics of the lavender that's featured in the LALIQUE White and Black. But if you want something more ambery, but mostly about vanilla with spices and things like that, this is a really solid release. Yes, it's going to remind you of Leighton once again, but I feel like this is original enough to be enjoyed on its own, because you'll be hinted at it, but again, it doesn't have that lavender that the Leighton is known for. But a really wonderful offering. If you can get it for inexpensive, please do, because I bought it for around 35-40 bucks on FragranceNet, and I did a video and it's sold out, so hopefully they'll bring it back. But this is Star for Men. Let me know if you're familiar with that. And also that house, it's a jewelry house from France. Then going to the house of Mercedes-Benz, it's Club Black. Club Black is also really, really great for a vanilla fragrance. It's dry and dusty and also smoky, incensey with the freshness of bergamot. So it's basically a very simplistic but kind of gooey, but also you know, dry and dusty, as I said, and powdery take on vanilla. Created by Olivier Cresp. He did a great job with this one. It does have a bit of a niche quality to it. It is Mercedes-Benz. It's also targeted to men, but a lot of these vanilla fragrances, if you're a woman and you're watching this, you can totally wear these as well. Let me know if you're a fan of Club Black from the house of Mercedes. It's great winter fragrance, you know, when it's cold outside, because I love that gooiness of the vanilla in there. But moving on to the house of ROCHAS, this is Moustache or Mustache Eau de Parfum. So we already had the ROCHAS Man, Intense. And then now we've got the Moustache and the Moustache Eau de Parfum. Make sure it's the Eau de Parfum, not the Eau de Toilette, because they will smell nothing alike. They're completely different fragrances. This to me is more of a kind of a tuxedo-like fragrance from YSL. It's vanillic, it's also ozonic, it's spicy, it's woody, it's citrusy, and also earthy. It's got all these kind of notes in here. But in the end, it does get ambery in the dry down because it also has resins here, but sweet kind of vanillic resins to kind of like accentuate and also intensify the vanillic touches of the vanilla that's in here. A really great fragrance, Rocha Moustache Eau de Parfum. Let me know if you're familiar with that. Then moving on to the house of Givenchy. It's Gentleman Givenchy Eau de Parfum or Givenchy Gentleman. Which one is it? But this is definitely my favorite in this whole collection. I absolutely love this one. It does have a bit of a reminder of Dior Homme in that line, but it's its own thing, created by, once again, Olivier Crespo. I think this is with Nathalie Lorson, but it's vanilla with tolu, there's orris and black pepper, patchouli and benzoin and tonka and lavender. Really great creation. I think it's a solid men's designer fragrance. I really like it. It does have a very powdery, resinous experience as well with the gooiness of the vanilla. A really solid vanilla fragrance for men with a powdery edge. That's Givenchy Gentleman Eau de Parfum. So I'm quite shocked that I'm enjoying this fragrance because I'm not a big fan of the Invictus collection. This is Invictus Victory and Invictus Victory Elixir. I really like the way this smells. It's also pretty potent. It's got cardamom, it's got lavender. There's a lot of vanilla here with patchouli, black pepper, incense, and tonka. The combination is great. It's gourmand, it's a bit dry, it's powdery, but also kind of gooey with the vanillic notes in here. It's just really nicely done, really super potent, a bit gourmand and also aromatic, and also spices and smokiness all combined to be a really wonderful experience. Again, I'm not a big fan of the Invictus collection, and this is actually Invictus Victory, and it was a surprise that I'm really digging this, and I'm actually featuring it here in a video. But let me know your thoughts on Invictus Victory Elixir. Do you enjoy it? But moving on to the house of Viktor&Rolf, it's Spice Bomb Extreme. Again, these are all vanillic fragrances, but they're not just vanilla. You have vanillic experiences because not only do they have vanilla, like for example, this one has tobacco, there's cinnamon, cumin, whiskey, saffron. The combination is great, super sexy because it has that cumin, but super potent with the experience, lots of vanilla, and giving you a bit of a holiday spice kind of a vibe as well. The fact that it has cinnamon and tobacco here. Definitely great. I waited too long to get this, even though I had smelled it and experienced it, and I'm glad I have it. I really, really like the cumin in here, which is kind of a breath of fresh air from experiencing the original and then having that cumin pop up here. So that's Spice Bomb Extreme from the house of Viktor&Rolf. And then this next one's from the house of Gucci. It's Gucci Guilty pour Homme Elixir de Parfum. So this is a great take on a fragrance that kind of hints at a little bit of Reflection Man from Amouage or something kind of orange blossomy, jasmine-y. I think it's mostly the orange blossom here, but it's orris, ambrofix, there's benzoin and patchouli, vanilla extract and nutmeg. It's really super potent and spicy, vanillic, but once again it's dry and powdery as well because it's got a lot of orris. And when you combine these kind of a dry notes, powdery notes, kind of like takes away from the gooiness of the syrupy vanillic touches. But the ambrofix in here kind of extends the life. It makes it musky and intense and ambery when it's drying down, but in the end it's really great smelling fragrance. And again, I prefer the Absolute a little more because I find it to be not necessarily very original, but the reason I'm saying it's not very original because it does remind me of the Reflection Man, but it's not identical, by the way. But still a great offering here and great, vanilla fragrance for a guy. It's Guilty pour Homme Elixir de Parfum from the house of Gucci. This next one's so awesome. From the house of Dior, it's Fahrenheit Le Parfum. Let me know if you've tried this one. What I really like about this one is how they've taken the violets from the original DNA of the original Fahrenheit and combined it with vanilla, and the violet leaves is basically what it is, creates this ozonic watery effect next to the vanilla, which is creating something really, really original. There's also citruses here, there's the leather accord, and of course the vanilla, super gooey, delicious, and also a bit fresh and not necessarily deep and sticky, sugary, sweet kind of a thing. So it's just a right kind of vanilla fragrance. I like that freshness that the ozonic violet note is giving against the vanilla. And then of course when it's settling down, it's kind of like a smooth suede leather, so it's not necessarily necessarily super potent. It's mostly about the vanilla and the violets and the citruses working together. There's some spices in here as well, I believe, like peppery spices. But that's Fahrenheit Parfum or Le Parfum at number 5. So before I move on with the rest of the fragrances, the 4 remaining fragrances, let me know if you are a man and you had a challenging time with vanilla. If I should be honest with you guys, before I started doing videos way back in 2012 on the first channel, prior to that, and several years prior, I was not very into vanilla. In fact, there was a time I hated vanilla. You'd never think I would hate vanilla, but I did. I like the smell of vanilla as a perfume really kind of turned me off. But I'm obsessed with vanilla now. It's my second favorite note. I absolutely love vanilla. In fact, I love it in foods as well. So it will take time for you guys to really, really embrace it and totally enjoy it. And you can take a fragrance that's just nothing but vanilla and spritz it all over your body. But these are great fragrances to start with. And then this next one at number 4 is from the house of Caron. It's Pour un Homme de Caron. This is more like a barbershop amber fougere style. And they've got loads of lavender and lavandin in this with Turkish rose, vanilla, musk, opoponax, and styrax. So it's the original fragrance just amplified and intensified. The original is about lavender and vanilla and musk and amber. Here they just kind of amplified it, intensified it, more in your face, more super potent, and super amazing take on vanilla with lavender. Really great fragrance. Pour un Homme de Caron Parfum is awesome. If you can't get that one, the original is fine if you can find it much easier. But try and find the Parfum because it's much more potent. But the next fragrance from the house of Tom Ford, it's Noir Extreme Parfum. Noir Extreme Parfum, guys, is so good. Super potent, by the way, very sticky, and also zingy, spicy with cardamom and ginger in here. There's also loads of tonka, amber, cedar, and of course, our favorite vanilla is in here, making it gooey and gourmand. I think they did an amazing job taking the original, which was fairly decent, I think. It was really cool, and just really amplifying all the notes and intensifying. It's almost like three-dimensional, kind of like really come to life when you spritz this stuff on. It's also something that garners me compliments, which is also an added bonus. But the smell is amazing. One of the great vanilla fragrances for guys. Noir Extreme Parfum. Let me know if you're familiar with that. Then at number 2, going to the house of Guerlain, it's Habit Rouge Parfum. A great fragrance. The original was vanillic and woody and citrusy and rosy. They've just totally amplified the vanilla in this. Added rum and patchouli. You have the DNA of the original, but it's just a vanilla overdose with an extra added bonus of the booziness in here. They did such a great job with this one. It is a bit old school, but also really great, modernized take on the original in more intense concentration of the Parfum. Habit Rouge Parfum is at number 2. Let me know if you're familiar with that. And then at number 1, going to the house of Jean-Paul Gaultier once again, it's Le Male Elixir. Yeah, they totally knocked it out of the park with this one. It is sweetened up quite a bit, but there's also lots of Tonka here. Tonka seems to be coming up, but they've basically taken the original DNA created by Francis Kirkjan, and now Quentin Biche is taken over at Jean-Paul Gaultier, and he's doing all of the Le Male fragrances. It's Tonka, mint, lavender, benzoin, and vanilla. So they not only have vanilla in this, they have benzoin. It's a resin, it's ambery. It just amplifies the vanillic touches as well. And then of course the Tonka assists it, adds a bit of this kind of a sweetness to it, nuttiness, a bit of tobacco-ish touches, and of course all the aromatics with the mint and the lavender in here. Such a great fragrance. Check it out if you don't know it. I think you're going to really enjoy it. Just taking that original Le Male into a total amber vanilla direction with aromatics and spices. Anyway, that's my list, guys. Those are my 20 best vanilla fragrances for men. These are all designers, as I said, and a few technicalities like Caron and Guerlain. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. Is there something missing? Add a comment below. Let me know what it is. And just tell me your journey with vanilla, because as I was saying earlier, I had a bit of a difficult time. Several years before I started doing this in 2012, vanilla was not a favorite note, but I'm really obsessed with vanilla. I absolutely love the smell, and these are some great designer examples for men featuring vanilla. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video, please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.